Shalom, friends. Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson here from the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, American Jewish University. These are challenging times. Between the coronavirus that has us all sheltering safely in our own homes, trying to minimize the ways that we risk infecting others or being ourselves infected, the challenging political times and the heightened sense of vulnerability just cries out for some piece of guidance, some piece of wisdom. Well, we're in the middle of the book of Deuteronomy, and my attention this week was drawn to a particular phrase that I think has relevance not only to our social challenges today, but also to how vulnerable many of us feel as individuals. In chapter 24, verse 14, which is in Parshat Ki Tetzei in the book of Deuteronomy, the Torah tells us, Lo ta'ashok sachir ani ve'evyon me'achicha O migircha asher be'artzecha b'sha'arecha. You shall not abuse a needy and destitute laborer, whether that person is one of your fellows or is one of the strangers who lives in your community, in your land. Now, on the surface level, the Torah is establishing what it means to be a beloved community, that we have to have one single standard by which we help to lift up the poor and the destitute. It's enough of a struggle to be poor that we have to be extra sensitive to not adding to their burdens, not making life harder for them, not in any way degrading them because of their financial challenges. And that law, remarkably enough, applies not only to the children of Israel, but it also applies to the non-Jews who are living in our land. Law has to be equal and fair and compassionate for all children of God, regardless of their identification, regardless of their affiliation. But there's a deeper level at which we can read this Torah verse as well. We're invited to see it not only for what it says about the world out there, but also for what it reveals about the world in here. Don't we have aspects of ourselves that feel to us impoverished, that feel destitute, aspects of our own personality that are lacking or hungry or needing nourishment, the parts of ourselves that might fill us with shame or regret. And what the Torah is telling us is that when we have those aspects of ourselves, those aspects, both the parts that we identify with and the parts that we think of as not part of our community, but dwelling within the land of our own self, can we be sure not to treat them in a way that adds to the degradation? We all have aspects of our personality and our character we want to elevate and lift up, and the Torah is reminding us to focus on that task, the lifting up, the making the burden lighter. That doesn't mean that we have to passively accept the parts of ourselves that need improvement. It means that by approaching those pieces of ourselves with understanding and compassion and dignity, well, when we do that, we unite the parts of ourselves that we're most delighted to own with the parts of ourselves that we have the most trouble with. We bring them together and we integrate ourselves into a beloved community, capable of building a beloved community. So, friends, as you think about the inner work of this time of year, and you think of the communal work we are all called to do as citizens of democracy, as children of God, remember to be able to lift up those who find themselves destitute and to be able to bring them into the community, both those who are people beyond our gates and also the aspects of ourselves that we would rather ignore. Shalom.